So, what I wanted to talk about today was boundaries. I want to talk about boundaries today. I want to talk about the truth of boundaries and some misunderstandings about boundaries. First of all, boundaries are a concept in spirituality. You have a boundary, you have a line, you have a fence. With the spiritual connection building up a fence post, a boundary, growth, evolution, you name it. I mean, you come up with it, but really, boundaries are in place for relationships, verbally, physically, I don't know. I hate to say the word, sexually. Um, Boundaries are put in place emotionally and energetically as well. And so, when you're in a relationship with another person, you take on their energy, you take on their emotions, you take on their life and what the situation is. You're the only one that breaks your own boundaries. Don't blame anybody else. You've decided, okay, I'm going to give in. I'm going to let this person drain me psychologically, abuse, or hurt me, or pull me down. Instead of building up the boundary to set you free, and not that they're rigid and closed off. And there's a fine line between being rigid and then also being free and open at the same time. Healthy boundaries. When do you feel like, I'm restricting myself, I'm limiting myself? Or when do you take a breath of fresh air, a sigh of relief? Now I feel better. That is how you know that you are exercising a healthy boundary. Now, right now, the sun is in Sagittarius. And because the sun's in Sagittarius, there's an old song that goes something along the lines of, "Don't fence me in," and that has to do with boundaries. Sagittarius want to be boundless and free, and they want to explore the terrain, and they want to go off in different directions and try this, try that. That's Sagittarius. They don't want to be tied down by boundaries. Gemini opposite that rules for small community. How do all the different signs relate to boundaries? Well, what about Cancer, the crab? Wanting to protect itself from the ocean water. Okay, then private family life, yes, closed off. Closed net, tight net is Cancer. Leo, this is not for me. No, fixed sign. What about Libra? Well, it can get to enmeshment, it can get to codependency, it can get to entanglement, Boundaries can also be set in place for the sake of maintaining one's individuality. Two people in relationships are not coming in with the mindset, oh, I'm going to be the individual in the relationship. Apparently, the relationship is going to fail. So, that needs to be set in place. What about Scorpio? It's all about getting deep, intimacy, being with somebody and knowing them at the deepest level and transforming them and transforming with them at a deep soul level. Very deep. You're a comrade, you're a guru, a role model to me. You're gonna change my life and impact me and be with me in those profound ways, which is Scorpio. Boundaries, well, Scorpio can be not the most trusting of energies. Now, what's interesting is that the North Node in Scorpio says, let go of control over your resources. Allow yourself to step into the energy of inheritance and know that you cannot do all. There is, the serenity prayer. Surrender. The first sign of that is surrender the things I cannot change, which are out of my control. Scorpio deals with being out of your control and letting go. Now, I don't want a Saturn and Libra native to come to me and say, talk to me about this placement and forget the song In the Arms of an Angel by the Scorpions. That song speaks to the North Node in Scorpio. And I will expect them to know that song and what it's about and what the themes of Scorpio are all about. And I expect them to actually come to me in the month of either late October or November. Or during any moon in Scorpio. You get my drift. Point is, though, Scorpio, deep intimacy. You know the drill. Capricorn, long-term relationships. I hate to say more of a business partnership with a boss who wears certain clothes and is very kind of tough and fit and one of those types of bosses. Forget about that stereotype. Aquarius, freedom, independence, intellectual relationships. Pisces, well, dissolving of boundaries. Dissolving. Wants to merge. Forget about boundaries. We're the ocean. We're all connected with each one of us. You see where I'm going with this? Healthy boundaries need to be set in place. Saturn rules boundaries. Pisces rules boundless. Boundaries. That's what Saturn rules. Self-respect is also something that Saturn rules. It's the real image of boundaries. Let me tell you a personal story. My family and I went to a neighborhood party once. I was very underwhelmed with the choice of food. And there was, the house was kind of funny. There was like a basement, there was, stairs, and there was a living room with, windows. It was late summertime, Virgo season, and everyone brought their own individual, contribution of what they were bringing. There were a couple other, neighborhood party type, deals that I remember. But this one in particular, how does this relate to boundaries? Well, I'll tell you. There was a man that said, don't go too far off into the field because that's where the sports players are playing. And I was like, I didn't think too much of it at the time. And when I went there, it was one of those instances where it was black and white, in my face, painfully obvious. This shouldn't be how my life is. It should not be that clear and simple and irritating. I mean, if I were to come into that situation now, I would say, guess what? I don't care. I will go as far as I want to, and I will only turn back if I feel that it's right to turn back. If I don't feel safe doing this, if I just drop in and get to my truth and don't feel safe, I will turn back. But, no, I'm not going to do that. Especially since I really like the feeling of the carpet grass, which I wish that I had in my own backyard. That was one of my memories of boundaries. And the typical, guidance counselors at school saying, oh, there's boundaries. Don't cross the boundaries. Otherwise you'll be cursed or something along those lines. But so the rope, the chain, the anvil, I'm going to get into the tiger poem. That has nothing to do with this. If a boundary feels restrictive, no matter what the circumstance, don't have that be an admission within yourself. But if you can breathe a sigh of relief and drop into your truth and go, I am so glad this boundary is put in place, or I'm so glad that I put this boundary in place, boom. Drop in. Don't push with your brain, think that is logic, that is ego, that is not spiritual. Drop in and feel what's true. And then do and act upon whatever feels true for you. So simple, yet not the most simple. I will admit to that. Still, I give the thanks today. Bye for now.